welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Danny Cannell, that's Tom Fornelli, that's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson, coming to you live as we do every Thursday at 11 a.m. to get your weekend set with these locks. Thank you to all of you that are joining in on the conversation at youtube.com/cover3. It's also where you can find the replays if you want to see us. And those of you who are joining us in the audio form as well, all you OGs, we absolutely love to have you on board. Gentlemen, we begin as we always do with a very, very quick recap of the week. We're going to be really quick because Chip went 1-6, but more on that in a little bit. Tom, 4-4 on the week. The wins included the under in Notre Dame USC, a lock fight win against Danny with the under in Ole Miss LSU, a lock fight win against me in Iowa State, Oklahoma State, then also cashing on San Diego State plus 3.5 against Air Force. Losses coming in, Colorado plus 8.5, Clemson plus 3.5 against Pitt, and then the under in Virginia Tech Cuse and the over in Cincinnati Navy were the losses.
Yeah, it was a pretty half and half week. Just, I don't know. I didn't feel great about anything. I was actually kind of mad at myself. I shouldn't have joined you on Colorado. I was just kind of swept up in the moment there. It's your fault that I went 4-4 instead of 4-3. Thanks, Chip.
Well, I mean, the final on Cincinnati Navy, you missed that by 1.5, right? 27-20 was that final there?
Yeah. But I kind of knew that one was dead about early in the second quarter, just the way the game was going. I thought it was going to be really difficult for me to get there. So I'd kind of just packed it away. But again, it's your fault. I had a 4-4 week instead of
all Chip's fault. Well, you know, it's just this
drag me down into your 1-6 muck.
Let's get into it. 4-4 on the week for Tom Fornelli, 41-35 on the season. As mentioned before, that 1-6 for your boy. The losses were Oklahoma, Kansas over 66.5. The Iowa State lock fight loss to Tom with Oklahoma State, dragging Tom down in Colorado plus 8.5 because we distrusted Cal as a favorite of more than a touchdown. UCLA, I think I might be done with the Pac-12 entirely. UCLA, I can't even figure out right now. The Bruins with a disappointing loss right there. Then also Alabama first half minus 14 did not cash. And Virginia Syracuse under, I'm okay to let that one go. I think I even said something in our workroom on Saturday. I said, listen, the total's gone busted, but that game just got like weird. Both near the end of the first half, both teams were exchanging big plays, throwing haymakers at each other, things that I enjoyed as someone who covers college football and watches it, but it did end up costing me here in the locks. But my one win was Wake Forest -3 against Army, which was a lock fight with Danny, which now brings me, the only thing that I can be excited about here is that I'm 5-2 in lock fights against Danny. The ACC boys have been clashing a lot this season, and it's the only thing on the board that I can hang my hat on. But Danny did better than I did. Oh, I'm 32-39 on the season after that disappointing week. Danny did better than I did. He was 3-4 on the week. The wins included the under 47 in Oklahoma State, Iowa, Kansas plus 39, never a doubt. Florida State minus 35.5. Just belief in the Seminoles. The losses were the under 71 in Tulane, SMU, the over 76. That lock fight loss to Tom on Ole Miss, LSU, Army, and also Danny was with me on UCLA. Thoughts on the week?
The only game that really irked me how wrong I was with the Ole Miss LSU game. I just thought LSU would show up with a little bit of better fight. Ole Miss controlled it from start to finish. Wasn't anywhere near the total. That one bothered me. The Army, I said I wouldn't mind being wrong. I wanted Wake to keep going. That game terrified me. I think I'm learning my lesson. We need to keep continuity with our ACC ties moving forward. And then I might have learned something about myself. Maybe I'm just a sicko mode type of guy. Maybe I just need to find these games this year that are ugly, that no one wants to touch, because the Kansas and FSU plays were my strongest plays of the weekend. So I'm going to start looking for value in the sicko mode plays.
There might be an option on this slate. We'll get into that in a little bit. All right. And now, I mean, just absolute flames there. That red and black checkerboard that you see on youtube.com/cover3 is actual like fire around Bud Elliott. 9-1 on the week, bringing him to 51-33 overall. The only loss was Clemson plus 3.5. Let's get into the wins. Maryland, Minnesota under 56, winner. App State plus 5, winner. Got it done on the field. SMU team total over 41.5, winner. USC team total under 25.5, winner. San Diego State plus 3.5, Michigan Northwestern under 51, Western Kentucky FIU under 77.5, UNLV team total under 20.5. Boy, UNLV's fighting, but they can't score over 20.5 points, or at least did not last week. And then the Indiana first half team total under 9.5, all winners. Bud, I mean, thoughts?
So the one I thought I was going to lose that I was most pissed about was UNLV team total under 20.5, because I thought that was dead nuts, right? And then San Jose State turns it over inside their own 20 twice in the first half. And I'm sitting here, I'm live betting the hell out of the under. I'm on my baby moon, and Maggie had gone to the bathroom. So I was like, just pounding the under here. Like, this is total. UNLV's offense is total BS. I'm going to get my money back on this. And then it ended up, they got the dub there, and I got San Jose State live, like plus 330 at one point as well, too. I think the important thing to do at this point in the year, because numbers are tightening up. If you're just using power numbers, they do tighten up. I have fewer bets this week than I've had, I think, in any week this year. Is you need to contextualize the data and think about, how did this team get to this point? For instance, last week when I took App, my thought was, well, Coastal has played. Like, do I care about Coastal's numbers? Somewhat, sure, but they have played absolute nobodies offensively and have still shown some cracks with their rush defense. Clemson has my number one defense's face strength so far by quite a bit. So, like, do I think Clemson has offensive problems that would probably show against anybody? I do. But I also think that those problems have been exacerbated by the fact that Clemson has played nobody but stud defenses basically so far this year. Like, BC is the worst Power 5 defense that they've played, and I still have BC as kind of like a borderline top half defense in the country. Everybody else, I mean, they've played Pitt, they've played Georgia. So looking deep into the numbers to figuring out, all right, I like the numbers, but I also, how did they get there? Are there opportunities to exploit the numbers and almost go against the numbers right now? That's kind of what I was trying to do last week.
Well, it worked very well. So, gentlemen, we've turned the page. We're looking on to week 9. Y'all ready to lock it up?
Let's do it.
We're picking locks.
My blue plate special 5-star locks are coming.
Since 2005, when Service Academy's
Go get these locks. 5-star master lock. Lock it up.
the under is 33-9-1. We've gone over it a million times.
You want these locks?
I'm living and dying every point, every cover.
All right, we begin for the early birds, making sure that you get your picks right here at the beginning of the show. Thursday night action. We got Troy at Coastal Carolina, South Florida at ECU. Anyone got a lock for Thursday? Nope.
No,
Okay.
but I will say there will be a lot. If you're betting tonight, there is a lot of weather coming in that Carolina region.
Yep.
Chip, you live there. Like, if I'm playing a total, I'm probably waiting on that just to be sure what we're getting.
Yeah, I was looking to switch out the gas can, but we won't be grilling. I went out there and put on the cover. So this is that ain't how Butcher Box is going to be consumed tonight. We're going to have to pivot to something else in the kitchen. Friday, we got Navy at Tulsa, UNLV at Nevada. Anybody got any Friday night action?
I'm not locking anything up, but this is another situation where I would keep an eye on the weather for Navy Tulsa, because there's some wind in the forecast. So let's see how windy it is come kickoff on Friday night.
All right.
I do have a pick.
Okay. Let's go.
I'm going under 58. Can I get any 58? Yeah, there's a couple 58s and a half out there in UNLV, Nevada. Again, as I said in the open of the show, UNLV's offense is total BS. Now, I think it is important to note that Doug Brumfield may be out. If he's in, this is the last number I want. So it's 58.5 or pass for me. If he's out, I'd play this down to like 56.5, 56, because the backup's not that great at actually throwing the ball. But in either case, I do want the under here. Nevada does not play at a crazy tempo. So go ahead and lock up the under for me there.
All right. Now we turn to some of the heavy hitters, the heavyweight games on Saturday. We begin with number 6, Michigan, at number 8, Michigan State. Right now, as I'm looking at it, we've got some 4s. I know it was at 4.5 at the beginning. The Wolverines, a narrow favorite going into East Lansing, over under around 50.5. Does anybody have a lock on this game?
I do.
Okay.
There's still a 4.5 out there, so I'm taking Michigan State plus 4.5. I just think that, this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's also some wind to keep an eye on for this one too. It might be another wonder, but I like the spread better because, to me, we've talked about it. I think Michigan's a very good team. I think Michigan State's a good team, but Michigan is a one-dimensional offense. Like, they run the ball, they run it well. They're not very effective in the passing game, although they can do it a little bit, but there's not a ton of explosiveness. It's not a lot to rely on. Cornelius Johnson gets some big plays here and there, but for the most part, it's inefficient. And for me, in a rivalry game like this, it's tough for me to trust a one-dimensional offense to go on the road and cover a spread like this, even though matchup-wise, Michigan State's rush defense hasn't been spectacular. I think that if they don't have to worry about the pass too much, they'll probably improve it a little bit. So I look at this, just think this is going to be a close, lower scoring, hard fought game. That tends to be how it is. These games usually are close, and Michigan State has covered 11 of the last 13 meetings. So I'm going to take Sparty plus 4.5.
I really like something that you said there because it goes along with my pick. You said it was going to be a close. What was the next thing you said?
Low scoring.
Yeah, give me the under. Are there any 51s, or is it just 50.5 is the best I'm going to get?
51 at PointsBet.
Whew, thank you. Let's lock up that under. I don't want to spoil the entire card, but there's a lot of opportunities out here with some of these matchups there in the Big Ten. All right. Anybody else want to get in on Michigan State? I also don't hate just Sparty catching points, rivalry, home team, and Michigan State won 2 games last year. One of them was against Michigan. Mel Tucker got those boys ready for that game.
So I bet both those, what you guys just bet. I got them at slightly better numbers, so I'm not going to lock them, but I think those are the sides. Like, to me, Michigan State is terrible at driving the ball. They're really good at hitting explosive plays. Michigan this year doesn't allow explosive plays at all. On the other hand, Michigan State is decent at stopping consistency, but they give up the bomb, and Michigan can't hit the bomb against anybody so far this year. So something has to give. I am on the under and on Michigan State. I'm not locking it up though for the show. Okay.
Now we're trying to hit the heavy hitters, the big games, and I just don't want to hide it anymore because there's another Big Ten game at noon that we absolutely have to talk about. It's the 36.5 that's on the board. A 36.5. Number 9, Iowa is a 3.5-point underdog going into Madison to play Wisconsin. The Badgers have been playing much better recently, albeit against some of the teams near the bottom of, or at least albeit against teams that aren't going to inspire confidence that Wisconsin deserves to be, right where they started the season in terms of national ranking and expectations. But Badgers, again, 3.5-point favorites against Iowa, still banged up a little on defense. Over under of 36.5. Who's joining me?
I can't get there.
Let's go.
No. Because 37 and 38 are key numbers here, and I think the way to bet
the key numbers in this one.
All right, that's fair. So my buy point on this is 38. I have to be disciplined like Danny. I can't join you here, but I will say that I actually my net total for this game, I made it 32.9. So that's really, for a non-Service Academy game, is pretty awesome.
But that's the thing; it's going to play out like a Service Academy game. I mean, they aren't running the option, but they are just fighting at the line of scrimmage. This thing's going to look like rugby.
Here's what scares me, though. This is like a perfect turnover storm.
Yes. Because
I tweeted these out earlier this week. Iowa leads the nation in percentage of its points being scored off of turnovers at 39.8%. Second place is Vandy at 32.08. So they're like nearly 8 percentage points more than the next best team. On the flip side, As far as the points that a team is allowed this year coming off a turnover by their offense, 50.39% of the points Wisconsin has allowed this year have come following one of the 17 turnovers by its offense, which is second place, Fresno State at 38.32%. Now, obviously, there's some regression coming in that number, but still, Wisconsin offensively has turned the ball over a lot. They are facing an Iowa team that forces a lot of turnovers and then turns those turnovers into points. I could see Graham Mertz giving Iowa a few short fields. I could see Spencer Petras giving Wisconsin a few short fields. So this small total, I think the defenses, ironically enough, could help push it over.
I will say that
I want to get in on this so bad.
Come on, let's go.
All right, I'm not going to touch the under. I want to get in on because I think it's sicko mode play, and I want to get in with some more ACC boys continuity. But you mentioned Graham Mertz, like coughing the ball up, maybe, throwing a pick six potentially. He's not, because he's only allowed to throw it 8 times or less. Like, they have turned into a service academy with their basically eliminating the forward pass from their playbook. So, but the good news is I do think Wisconsin here is one of those ones where the number's a little bit surprising. You're like, wait a second, Iowa's the team we were talking about all year. Petras, I'm very curious to see how he responds after a 4-interception game. And he was playing solid when the defense was playing great and they were getting all these turnovers and he was in great field position. What happens if it's not? What happens if they need him to step up and make plays? I don't know if I trust him either. This game is going to set back the game of football 30 years. It's going to be ugly. I'm dying to take the under, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take the Badgers and lay the 3.5. I think they're the better football team here. It's been that type of year where once we start seeing these teams start, facing better competition, the better teams rise to the top. For whatever reason, I trust Wisconsin. I think their defense hasn't been getting any love because they lost early. I think they're going to get the best of Iowa this weekend. So I'll take the home team, the home favorite, say they get the better of Iowa and lay the 3.5.
Last I checked, no Riley Moss for Iowa in this game. And that's one of our turnover boys right there. That's getting out there creating interceptions. So
you know what, Chip?
So
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fight you. I'm taking the over 36.5 in this game. Fight. I know this goes very much against my brand, but I really do think it's the right play. So I had it on the card. I wasn't going to do it. I was like, nah, this goes way too much against everything I've ever said and done, but nah, I got to. It's too much value there.
Principle-less Tom out here in week 9, just greed, just going for nothing but money here.
I gotta catch Bud. Bud's killing us. He's like 12 units ahead of us in the spread and the total picks. So I gotta catch up.
If we're sticking with like the country music, lyrics, like just ain't nothing but the taillights for Tom and everybody, man. I'm dusted.
Okay, a little bit later on, we head to Jacksonville. Cocktails will be poured. Number 1, Georgia taking on Florida. Great scene as we've got the stadium split. We're very used to this atmosphere. Georgia is a 14-point favorite in this game, over under of 51. What do we expect from Dan Mullen and the Gators in this game? How do you see the script playing out? And I think that because it is one of, I guess other than Tennessee, like this is one of the 2 spots before the SEC championship game where you have any kind of thought about Georgia even being tested. The debate around Georgia that we often have is, like what's going to happen when someone forces them to be uncomfortable. And the fact is they just aren't uncomfortable for a lot of games. And so what do we think will happen in Jacksonville? Oh, does anybody have a lock? Obviously, first thing is a lock, but okay.
I got one. Go ahead, Bob.
I'm going to go against my background. And guys, just hold your nose on this one and take the 14.5 points. Look, I think this is an opportunity to bet on Florida having some performances where they were somewhat unlucky, right? We discussed this a couple weeks ago. There are 2 games they lost in which their post-game win expectancy on some of the performance metrics were actually over 50%, right? I do think Dan Mullen is a decent big game coach. I don't think Florida's going to win this game, but this is a challenge that I think so far is kind of unique to Georgia. Florida has a solid offensive line, which is better than a lot of the stuff that Georgia has faced so far. I don't want 14. I want 14.5. There's South Point, WinBet, and Heritage all have it. So 14.5 for me. I got to do it. It's a principal thing.
What type of game do you think it'll be?
I have the over under at 50. So,
so tight.
Yeah.
Close to that number. I'm leaning towards the under. Tom, or anybody else playing this?
Mm-mm.
No. I have ideas of how I think it'll go, but I'm nothing close enough to lock it up. Like I think the spread and the total are pretty right, but I do lean under.
If
I'll go ahead and get in with Bud.
Okay.
Give me the Gators. I mean, Georgia's done an outstanding job shutting down quarterback run, but they haven't faced an attack like this one where Dan Mullen, and who knows what we're going to get. He's been pretty coy about it. I think you'll probably see more of Anthony Richardson this week. It was ugly. I mean, Emory Jones and him both had 2 picks the last game. I'm sure there's probably a lot of, discussion about, hey, do we give Anthony Richardson the start against this defense? But I think either way, what you'll see is a challenge that Georgia hasn't faced really this year. I think athletically, it's probably the toughest game clearly that they've faced since Clemson, and might be all season long until they face Alabama. I do think I'm counting on Florida, which maybe this is one where you might want to watch how this unfolds early, because, man, I'm scared if Georgia gets a quick 10 points on them. I wonder where Florida goes mentally. Like, do they throw in the towel? Do they quit and say, this just isn't our year? But if they can keep it close in the first half, I think there is some pride there. A lot of these guys have been recruited by the same schools. They want to win this game. I think they're emotionally invested in it. I think the week off to get them healthy, kind of get prepped. I think also the unknown of who's playing quarterback. If it's JT Daniels and he goes with him, maybe there's a little bit of a rust that has to be knocked off. What do they do? And I think this is a bigger challenge for Georgia that we've seen. So I'll take those points too.
Gator Danny back. Seminole boys riding for the rivals. Tom taking overs in Big Ten games. I mean, we're only about 23 minutes in. This thing's already sideways.
By the way, somebody before said, "Hey," or Bud said, "I'm going to be disciplined like Danny." That was 2020, DK.
Okay.
We are off the rails this year, which is probably why my record reflects it.
Okay, let's go ahead and look at the Big Ten spotlight game in primetime. We will be going fairly close to the end of this one. Is what we're looking at to time our instant reaction pod. So keep your eyes on the scores. And of course, if you subscribe at youtube.com/cover3, smash the notification bell, you'll know when we go live. Ohio State is an 18.5-point favorite, over under of 61. Penn State and all of its moving parts making the trip to Columbus. What do we think? Anybody got a lock?
What's the spread on this current?
18.5.
18.5, yeah.
Oh man, that is much tougher. I grabbed some of that 16.5 on Monday and Sunday. All right, hold on. Looking for some sicko mode derivative stuff. Tom, can you vamp for a second?
Yeah, I'm not locking anything up. I also got it at 16.5 earlier this week. I can't help but feel like Ohio State's going to just blow the doors off Penn State at this point, because it's Sean Clifford. Maybe he's back to 100%, but even if he is, like, the early season Penn State that looked pretty good after, against Auburn, that offense is kind of dissipated in the last few weeks, and it's gone back to more being like the team that we saw against Wisconsin in the opener, and the team we kind of grew accustomed to the last few years, where they cannot run the ball. And in the passing game, it's pretty much been deep shots to Jahan Dotson and not a whole lot else. And we've seen a lot of teams, at least from what I've watched, are just kind of doing not a drop 8, but they're just kind of dropping into coverage with Dotson deep, not letting him get those big plays, and forcing Sean Clifford or Penn State's, whoever's playing quarterback when Clifford got hurt when Roberson came in, to beat them underneath. And Penn State really hasn't been able to do that. And I think Ohio State defensively has the capability of doing it. And then last week, PJ Mustipher was lost for the season, and Penn State's run defense last week just died with it. Like, they were getting gashed by Illinois up front and in the middle all day long. If Illinois' offensive line was able to do that to them, I think Ohio State's going to be able to do it. If Chase Brown was able to rush for 200 yards and Josh McCray was able to rush for 100 yards, I tremble at what Trevion Henderson might be able to do against this Penn State defense. I just think this is a Nittany Lions team that is very much going in the wrong direction. But at 18.5, I'm not comfortable locking it up. But if I am making a play on this game, it's on Ohio State.
What is the Ohio State team total?
Oh, it is 37.5.
That sounds less than 40. Yeah, let's lock up Ohio State team total over 37.5. If Chase Brown, and I think we talked about Chase Brown for the October awards, he's been awesome this month, but I think Trevion Henderson will be able to take advantage of some of those same issues in that Penn State run defense. I don't think that can be, I like Brent Pry. We talk about him a lot, but I don't think that is going to be fixed right away. So give me that Ohio State team total over 37.5.
Yeah, and I know like Illinois only scored 20 points on them in 9 overtimes, but if Illinois has just a below average college quarterback last week, they score at least 30-something points in that game.
Ohio State's a weird team for me because I think in the last 3 weeks they have played some teams, and I've been on Ohio State pretty consistently in the last 3 weeks. A lot of it because I do believe in them, and I think their opponent quality has been quite poor, right? With Akron, Maryland, and then Indiana. And I think they had Rutgers in there too. So kind of 4 straight pretty bad or trending in the wrong direction teams. I think the best, I don't know, I'm probably not going to lock this up, but no, I'm not. But I'm already on a nice Ohio State number. If I was going to play this still, I would probably play Penn State team total under 20.5. They're not able to run the football. Ohio State's run defense has been better recently. They are not having to take as many gambles. And I don't know. It's hard for me to tell just how much this Ohio State defense has improved. And I am very reluctant to bet an over in an Ohio State game. Team total, I think, is more likely. But I think the under 20.5 is certainly worth a look.
That's not a lock. It is a
That's
look.
not a lock. Yeah.
It's a look, not a lock.
I'm already on Ohio State. So, yeah, that's a look.
It's not called the Looks Pod. It's called
That's
the Locks
fair.
Pod.
That's fair.
But we appreciate. Go ahead.
We should do
This
a
is a
looks
tricky
pod
one for
where we
me.
just wear nice outfits.
Yeah, this is
Got the flamingos today.
That's right. We I don't know, because you mentioned earlier, but like, how'd you get here? And I think there is some of that in here because Ohio State's looked awesome, but it has been against less than stellar competition. But then how'd Penn State get here? Coming in embarrassing loss. Their coach is giving quotes that don't make any sense whatsoever. It looks like he's out the door. I just don't have a good feel for this one, so I'm going to avoid it. I kind of like, for the reason of Ohio State not being tested, I think this will be a good test for them, but it's at home. Like, I don't know. I'm going to stay away from this one.
Coming up on the other side, we turn our attention to the entire board for Week 9. It's open gym, so we fill out the rest of our Week 9 locks card next.
My mom used to live here a long time ago.
She's still here.
What did you say? What the hell?
Paranormal Activity, Next of Kin, rated R, streaming October 29th, exclusively on Paramount Plus.
We always enjoy our relationship with Home Field. Home Field has provided us with some sweet gear. I am rocking my Pitt Panthers hoodie right now. Tom, is that Home Field, Wyoming?
No, just regular ass hoodie.
It would be so much more comfortable if you were wearing the premium collegiate apparel brand, which has not only just like this incredibly comfortable, awesome vintage college designs, but they put in the time. These are officially licensed vintage college designs. If you're somebody that loves looking back at the old media guides, the way that some of your favorite teams and mascots were depicted over time, and maybe it's not even your team, maybe you just enjoy the history and the pageantry that is all through college football, Home Field studies each school's history, digs through the archives to create thoughtful vintage designs. We're in the middle of the big new Saturday with launching a new collection every Saturday at 12 Eastern time. This Saturday, it'll be Cal. And there are some sweet Cal designs to dig through, so keep your eye on that. This season has also included Notre Dame, LSU, Texas, Texas A&M, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, Miami, Georgia, Washington, and so much more. And one thing that we absolutely love is the fact that You can have t-shirts, hoodies, joggers, just all kinds of apparel. You could put a whole home field apparel outfit together. And right now, you can get 15% off your first purchase from Home Field by using the code COVER3 at checkout. Once again, that is using the code COVER3 at checkout at homefieldapparel.com. That's homefieldapparel.com. Go get yourself hoodie, t-shirt, joggers, something, because you can get 15% off that first purchase with the code COVER3 during checkout. That is homefieldapparel.com.
I just got a new Georgia Tech t-shirt yesterday from Home Field.
That's another recent release too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
You follow them on social media. They put out every new school that they just got lined up, and they got some sweet gear.
Yeah, Home Field Apparel on Twitter, and I'll go ahead and spell this out. It's Home Field as you would expect, but apparel is APPARL on Twitter. Home Field Apparel as it is spelled.com to get to the website. But yeah, follow them on social media as well so that you can be up to date on all the latest designs that they've got. All right, so far to review, Tom is on Michigan State plus 4.5 and the Iowa-Wisconsin over 36.5. We've got for Chip, Michigan State under 51, Iowa, Wisconsin under 36.5, and the Ohio State team total over 37.5. Danny has Wisconsin minus 3.5, Florida plus 14.5, and Bud is on UNLV Nevada under 58.5. That's Friday night action, and then Florida plus 14.5. Lock agreements for Danny and Bud and the cocktail party, and Tom and Chip lock fight over the most exciting game of the weekend, moving football into the future, Iowa and Wisconsin. All right, Bud, you are our season leader. So anywhere you want to go with Saturday's action, what are you locking up?
All right, I'm going to go ahead and go a little sicko mode here. Give me Bowling Green, going back to the well. I think that Buffalo has some defensive problems. We know they have some injuries at defensive end. I can get the 14 there in a couple spots still. That's my buy point on them. That's what I bet, so I still like it. Go ahead and give me Bowling Green and the 14. I don't really trust Buffalo to cover a big number.
Okay. No debate there.
Shocking.
No, I know I don't disagree with the pick at all. Buffalo's defensively has been kind of the last few weeks, especially. So I think that's probably a smart play, but Bowling Green kind of scares me a little bit still too.
Yeah, I worry that I'm buying too high on them, but I'm still showing value on my number. So I kind of got to go after it.
Seminole boys, I got to ask.
I got to play.
Yes, let's go.
Let's go. FSU traveling to Clemson. A lot of bad blood. Coaches have said the right things this week, right? Like, hey, that's all water under the bridge. We get it. It was emotional time, all that. These teams, I think it's going to be a little more physical. Tell me which passing game you trust. Is it a toss-up? Is it neither? Both of them, neither. I think it's definitely neither. Both of these defenses, we know about Clemson's defense. Florida State's defense has been awesome. I'm not touching the number. I'm going to go to the total, and I'm going to take the under. I think this will be a physical, low-scoring game. It's only 47. Is that where I get it at?
Get you 47.5.
47.5. I'll take the under. I think this will be a physical, ugly, maybe some weather issues as well. But from what I've seen from both these offenses, I know they both want to run the football, and I think it'll be challenging for both. I'm a little bit worried about Ross and Ngata getting right. They're better the big play options, but I still think Florida State will be able to slow them down somewhat. So I'll go ahead and take the under.
If you want to go ahead and just bet that against me and cut the bookmaker out of it, I'm down because I'm on the over.
Are you locking it up?
No, I got 46. 46.5 was my last number to buy it at. But
if
discipline. If I'm betting juice free, then 47 would be a play, obviously, because if there's no minus 110 amongst friends. So I actually think that Florida State is the second worst defense that Clemson will have played all year. And this is a nice opportunity for Clemson's offense to get right. I would run DJ Moore. I don't know if FSU can block Clemson, but I do think that Mike Norvell has a really big history of creating explosive plays, even when they don't block people well. It's just kind of something he's done all the way back to the Arizona State days. So for that reason, I do think over is worth a shot here. And both these quarterbacks make some risky throws, man, which could lead to short field position turnovers. And Norvell is also an analytics guy, so he plays to win the game, which increases the likelihood that they get blown out, also increases the likelihood of pulling an upset. He doesn't really care about losing close that also lends itself to over. So 46.5 was my last number to play the over. If you guys see it dip, I would play it over again. But yeah, I'm interested in this.
And you don't think Florida State wins? You don't think they have a chance to cover?
I got Clemson 30-20.
I mean, Clemson hitting 30 would be something.
This would be a miracle at this point.
Goodness
Yeah, but
gracious.
they're at home. I mean,
I could see a late drive to kind of punch one in. That's what makes me nervous. With Dabo, what happened last year, game canceled. I could see him sending one more message late in the game. That's what makes me nervous. Could push the over.
Clemson just doesn't have enough healthy bodies for it to want to do anything other than shorten the game.
well, they're getting Rayburn back on the offensive line. Nagata should be back this week.
No Kobe Pace.
No Kobe Pace. That does scare me, but also that could help the over because if they have 2 true freshman running backs on these blitz protections, maybe FSU gets some kind of strip sack off of blown blitz protection. Shipley's pretty solid.
Yeah, Shipley is very solid.
He's the only guy on that team that's quick, by the way. Everybody else, everybody else is like faster than quick. They're all builders. They're all like striders. They take time to build up the top speed. Shipley's the only guy I think you could say is quicker than fast.
I like Phil Maffa, but I don't know if you can trust him in pass protection. I haven't really studied that as well. But
I figure they're both 18 years old. Like that. That's inexperienced.
Yeah. All right. What about Tom?
I'm going to go back to the Big Ten, and I'm going to kind of what you were talking about at the top of the show, Bud, where it's like it's not just the numbers, but you have to look a little deeper as the numbers get tighter and what's going on. And Indiana is 2-5. Their losses have come to Iowa, Cincinnati, Penn State, Michigan State, and Ohio State. All are ranked in the top 20, and they have a combined record of 31-2. So I think Indiana is a little bit better than the numbers suggest. And I think Indiana is definitely better than being a 5.5-point underdog to Maryland, which is a team like Indiana that has faced Iowa and Ohio State. And it has gotten blown out in those games. And their 3 games against Iowa, Ohio State, Minnesota, the Terps have been outscored 151-47. Their lone Big Ten win was a 3-point win on the road against Illinois earlier this season, in which I firmly believe had Illinois gone for it on a 4th and 1, Illinois would have won that game, but they didn't. So I have a difficult time trusting the Terps to cover this spread against this Indiana team at home. And it's at home for the Terps, and also I trust Indiana more with total at QB than I do with Penix, just because I think that even though he had a couple interceptions, not last week, but the week before, I think he's a little bit better about taking care of the football and not taking as many chances that aren't really there. So I like the Hoosiers this weekend. I'm taking them plus 5.5.
I'm not locking up a spread on this, but you may hear from me later on this game.
Ooh.
So I like to hear.
Let's turn our attention to South Bend, where we have the North Carolina Tar Heels 4-3 on the season, coming off a bye. Guys, of course I'm the only loser who thought about this, but North Carolina might have trouble making a bowl game. Like, it's got Notre Dame, Pitt, Wake Forest, NC State, and Wofford. It's 4-3. So that means that if Wofford is a W, you're going to have to win one of these games against Notre Dame, Wake Forest, Pitt, or NC State. I think one of those games is possible, but just wild position to be in. All that said, I don't think it's happening in South Bend. I will take Notre Dame, and I will lay the 3.5 points, and I'm going to go DK 2-for-1 special, and I'm going to take the over in this game, 62.5. Obviously a little bit of a favorable number, but it is the specific matchup of North Carolina's passing attack. Sam Howell has not been lighting up the stat sheet at all. He's got thrown for less than 220 yards in each of his last 2 games, only 2 touchdowns and 1 interception each in both of those games. But we don't have Kyle Hamilton in this game. Kyle Hamilton is out, and I think that will allow Josh Downs, who has been stellar, to be able to go and get himself some yards against a Notre Dame secondary that is very good. Isaiah Foskey, the Notre Dame defensive lineman, has been awesome this season. very dominant, great at getting after the passer. That will be problematic for Sam Howell. But I think that North Carolina, in its efforts to do anything it can to pull off the upset, you've got to think it happens with the offense. And North Carolina's defense has been very over-friendly as well. So 2 for 1. And if you're watching on youtube.com/cover3, we deserve an Emmy for the camera work that Danny Cannell has pulled off as he has focused the position right on the Mac Brown gifted North Carolina helmet that is above. I didn't notice it earlier, Danny, but does that mean that we're hitting this violent button right here?
We are. We're fighting. Let's go.
Fight.
I'm going to take the fight in Mac Brown's here in a tough spot on the road. But have you noticed that? Well, that's way too far. Notre Dame hasn't exactly been dominant against the ACC. They have snuck out with some close calls wherever they've been, whether it was in Tallahassee, whether it was in Blacksburg. They are a team that I think North Carolina can get into a shootout win that they've been in before. I think Notre Dame might win by a field goal. I wouldn't be surprised if North Carolina won this game, though. You talked about the desperation aspect of where they are with a bowl, where they do the needs to win the more. I'm going to go ahead and take the Tar Heels here. I don't love it because of our record against each other. That trend is not very comforting, but I'll go ahead and take it here. Give me the Tar Heels.
Danny has as many helmets as I do home field shirts.
These are left over from my days at ESPN when I stole them. When I got fired, I'm like, screw you guys. I'm taking all these helmets with me as I go.
Pulling them off the wall from like the display case.
Yeah. I went in at 4 a.m. to like clear out my office. I'm like, oh, nobody's around. Let me go ahead and take these. Somewhere there's security cameras and they're watching me just stacked up both arms with helmets.
I'm embarrassed. I don't know how to zoom a webcam, man. Like Danny's up here. You got some kind of control box, and I'm just like having to sit closer or sit further back. And HQ calls me, and they're like, "What? Really? You can't like adjust?" I'm like, "All right." Anyway.
Well, just open up the camera settings app and just let them take control of it. I
don't even know if I have one of those, but I will look into that. All right.
They'll get you positioned well. All right, let's go. We've got as Danny mentioned, yet another lock fight behind the OG between the OG ACC boys. Tom, Bud, y'all have got 3 each. Let's throw another one on the card.
Bud's got a heart out, so you go first.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I want Virginia in this game, and I want Virginia team total over 31.5. I know that's like, obviously that's plus money, but I don't care. I already bet Virginia here. I like over 31.5. I think UVA will score close to 40 in this game. I already bet them. I think they're going to win the game. And think about real quickly here, who are the best offenses that BYU has seen this year? And look at their defensive numbers. It's kind of what I was talking about. So Washington State, they got him the week after Rolovich was let go. Baylor is a decent offense. Boise State, when BYU played them, was kind of a mess, to be honest. Utah State in that game, if you guys recall, we had the live over, and then both quarterbacks got hurt for Utah State. And I was bitching about that in the group chat. Arizona State back when, and they don't really score a whole lot of points anyway. Utah before Cam Rising. So this, to me, is a ripe spot where BYU's defensive numbers are, first of all, they're not any good anyway because they're 75th in the country. But I think they have specifically had some situations where the opponents they've played have not been very good. And I think UVA is going to throw up a 40 burger here. If this gets back to 3, I think UVA plus 3 is a nice bet.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Virginia wins that game, but if
it is back at 3. Oh shoot! Hey Chip, it went back to 3 like during the show. Give me UVA plus 3 instead. Yeah,
instead of the team total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I when I looked this morning, I was only seeing 2.5, so I didn't want to throw out a bad number.
All right. Bronco Bowl picks. I love it. And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, how many more picks do you have, Bud?
A couple, but go ahead.
All right. I want to make sure we get them in. No, what were you saying, Chip?
Go ahead. I was just gonna say if Virginia wins the game, I imagine they get over 31 points.
Probably. I'm gonna go to the other team in Virginia. This is it's Gut Check Saturday.
Gut Check Saturday
for Justin Fuente and the Hokies. And This isn't so, but this is honestly, this is a gut play for me more than anything. But I just saw this line and I get it. I understand that there's problems right now with that program and there's concerns about what's going to happen in the future and where things can go. But I just don't think Georgia Tech should be favored by 4 points against the Hokies. So I am taking the Hokies +4.
That makes me so happy to hear you say that. And that is because on the early edge yesterday, which you can see on Sportsline's social channels, Tom still submitted his best picks for the week. And Alan Ball, the host, he had me guess why you had those picks and like give the explanations. And I was like, he probably says, why does Georgia Tech deserve to be a 4.5 point favorite? And that's exactly the thinking here. So a gut pick on Gut Check Saturday for Justin Fuente and Virginia Tech. I absolutely love it. All right, bud.
It's a Hokie. They're gonna circle the wagons.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stick in the ACC here. I'm going to take Louisville getting 7 points on the road. So NC State is now down Peyton Wilson. They are also down their other starting linebacker with Moore. And they didn't really look very good last week defensively. And that's a tough loss to bounce back from. If Scott Satterfield's team is still with him, then I think +7 here is a quality bet. I'm going to take that.
Update on the ACC dogs, 18-10 against the spread so far. So it's not been as great in recent weeks, but it's still doing pretty good.
Yeah, started 14-4. Again, a little bit more regression. But I don't hate that pick. I think that where is NC State right now is a fine starting point. Dave Doran was visibly dejected talking about the loss of Isaiah Moore. I mean, that dude took over, was the leader of the defense, had played really, really, really well. And now that defense, which already has taken, as you mentioned, multiple injuries, has got to figure out a way to stop Cunningham. I don't know whether we get good Malik or bad Malik, but if we get good Malik, then this is going to be a spot that's going to be tough for NC State, which is still in the ACC championship race, but really can't afford another loss after taking that L against Miami. All right. But how many more do you have?
I have one more. I'm going to go back to this well again, and this number's actually gone against me, which is not always a good sign. But I'm going to take over 55.5 in Georgia State, Georgia Southern. Georgia State's run defense is not very good, right? So that could portend for Georgia Southern to have some explosive plays. We will see. Like I will say some of Georgia State's run defense metrics are okay. But I actually think Georgia Southern can pop some explosive plays here. Georgia State wants to play at some tempo, so I'm going to go ahead and take over 55.5 in this one.
All right.
I have no thoughts on that game. I will go next. I will take another one. I'll take an under here. I'm going to take the under 43.5 in Minnesota Northwestern. And I honestly don't feel like I have to go too in depth on this one. It's not all that different than the Iowa-Wisconsin game. It's just got an extra touchdown on the total, which is an extra touchdown I will gladly take, as Minnesota's an option team, to be blunt. Like, they run the ball 70% of the time. The only three teams that run the ball more than Minnesota, you guessed it, are Air Force, Army, and Navy. That's what they do. That's what they'll be doing against Northwestern on Saturday. And they have only run so far this season 455 plays on offense because of that, which ranks 108th nationally, because again, they run the ball 77% of the time. The clock never stops. And also Northwestern's offense is terrible. So under 43.5 Northwestern, Minnesota.
Hey, Tom, do you want to hear the list? Oh, sorry.
No, yes, I want to hear the list.
You want to hear the list of teams that I have at a slower pace than Minnesota for adjusted tempo?
I would guess it's probably
should be fast.
It's Air Force, and it's a tie.
Yeah. So Minnesota, Northwestern under. and I'm going to go ahead and follow it up because you've got those teams that you have flagged as like under team, over team. Virginia over team. I've got North Carolina as an over team. When we get Minnesota, which as you mentioned, because of its running style and the way that it's gone about its business, under cash last week. Minnesota and Northwestern under teams. Illinois and Rutgers under teams. Lock it up. Okay, so that is under in Minnesota Northwestern, lock agreement with Tom, but I also want to throw on the Illinois Rutgers under, and I guess we've got Brandon Peters turnover pick 6 possibility. Clearly my heart breaks that Art Sitkowski is not going to be able to play in this game against the Scarlet Knights. What could have been. Yeah, too bad. But I do like getting that under as well. So my third Big Ten under of the week, throw it on the card.
Lock agreement. I mean, the thing is, like, Illinois' defense was terrible at the early part of the season. Like, it played well against Nebraska, and then it was bad against UTSA, and it was really bad against Virginia. But ever since that Virginia game, the Illinois defense has played pretty well. Rutgers' offense has not been great all season. Illinois' offense is not great, and they run the ball a lot. Like, they don't run 70% of the time overall, but they run damn near 70% of the time on first down, which tells you exactly what type of team they are.
As an aside on this conversation, because we're doing all these Big Ten unders, this is good defense, but the quarterback play is atrocious. Who is the second best quarterback in the Big Ten? It is a
Peyton Thorne.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the list is not great to choose from. Like, Talia is like the second in touchdowns, but he had the atrocious game against Iowa, hasn't been as great. Like, it is not exactly like the class of 83 that we're looking at.
No.
I mean, raw talent, would you maybe take JJ McCarthy, even though McNamara
he's not even playing, though?
He's not even playing.
That's why all these unders are working, because the quarterbacks are awful.
Any other pitch? I think that I would say Thorne. The Peyton Thorne to Jalen Naylor connection is the only thing that I'm feeling a little bit iffy about for my Michigan State under, because they have been able to hit explosive plays. They had that crazy game where between Kenneth Walker and Jalen Naylor, I think they had 4 touchdowns of 40 plus yards or something. So it's in the offense, but I don't think Michigan's got a defense that's going to allow that to happen. Second best Big Ten quarterback might be Ohio State's backup, says Dwight.
And third string, maybe.
That's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bud, anything? I've got a couple more locks, but I guess, do you want to text us your sprinkles?
I got a couple sprinkles. Well, I bet you that meeting starts late.
Okay, cool.
Kansas
plus 31. Can I get 31?
Ooh, let me check.
I got it earlier in the week, so I hope you can.
Yeah. I don't know if it's still there. I think, the whole world is finally coming alive on Kansas after Danny showed the way. I can get you 30.5.
Okay. Have we seen Oklahoma State's scores? I understand that Kansas, ranks among the bottom, not just in Power 5, but sort of in all of FBS and a lot of defensive categories. But I just think that the way that Oklahoma State handles its business does not set itself up to go out there and put out a 40 to like a 44-14 kind of result. I don't see the Cowboys offense getting there. And let's actually believe that Kansas being competitive, breaking out that wild offense against the Sooners. We think Lance Leipold's a good coach. When Lance Leipold was hired by Kansas, we thought that was a positive thing for the athletic department to do to try and get this group on track. We knew that they weren't going to be competitive against the best teams immediately, but I do think that this is not a group that is looking to just get rolled week in and week out here in the later stages of the season. So rock chalk Jayhawk, let's go Kansas plus 30.5.
We do have one thing we need to read off here. Or sorry, Tom, were you on that?
I am not on the Kansas, but I am on a pick for this game that maybe does bode well for your Kansas pick. I'm on the over 54.5 in this game. Just think that total is a little too low. I think Oklahoma State's probably going to have its best offensive performance of the season against this Kansas defense, but I also think this Kansas offense is going to be able to get roughly about 20 points on the Cowboys too. So I like the over.
Interesting. So we do have a Dennis pick we need to talk about here.
Okay. Oh, we
All
haven't
right.
even talked about Auburn Ole Miss. I hope it's on that one, right?
I got
It is.
plays left.
Yes,
I got
it
a
is.
lot left on my board.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. Dentist or Denny?
Dennis.
Dentist.
Th-
That way,
three in a-
Danny knows which picks not to make.
All right, 3 in a row now, and back above 500 for the pod. My pick, which is true, but we forgot to read his pick the 1 week. I got it verified over text. My pick this week has moved a lot, but I will stick with it. Since the year 2000, Ole Miss has only beaten Auburn 4 times. If you dig in a little more, Ole Miss has never beaten a ranked Auburn team at Auburn. The Rebels are still banged up in this several positions on offense, and this is the last game of a tough 5-game stretch. As a lifelong Ole Miss fan, I never feel good going into Jordan Hare, and this year is no different. The last 2 quarterbacks to win there were Eli and Chad Kelly. Can Corral do it? I hope so, but I would not bet on it with all the injuries, including his ankle. I really would have loved to get the opener at +1, but it quickly moved the other way. So give me Auburn -2.5, tooth emoji, lock emoji. I hope this is a lock fight with Fornelli, he adds.
I don't think. Go ahead.
I hate it. Lock agreement with the dentist. Let him sing. I'm into all of his. He actually made really good points, did all my research for me. I can't believe you're going to take Bo Nix over Matt Corral as the quarterback matchup here. But I think this is start of the wear and the tear where it starts taking its toll on you for Ole Miss. Auburn getting healthy at the right time. I think this will be the bigger challenge. Ole Miss has been running the football really well. I'm curious to see if they can do that. I think Auburn will be able to establish the run. Bo Nix is different at home. Give me the Auburn Tigers.
Tom, how many do you have left?
I have a lot left. I've got
Rapid fire?
I've got 5 left. I'm not locking up anything in Ole Miss Auburn, but I will say in the 6-pack this week, I did take the over. That's what I like the most in that game. I'm not locking anything up there, though. Yeah, I could do a rapid fire of 4 unders if you'd like.
Yeah.
All right. First one, sticking in the Big Ten. I am taking the Purdue, Nebraska under 52.5. Now we're going to move to the Big 12, where I am taking the under 58.5 in Kansas State and TCU, as well as the under 61.5 in Texas and Baylor. Moving again in that direction on the continent to the west, I'm taking a Mountain West under, the under 51.5 between Boise and Colorado State. A lot of the same reasoning behind all these games. I don't trust a ton of the offenses that much. I like the defenses, and also windy.
Oh, yeah. Wonder alarms going off all over the place. I love that. Give me SMU. Pick them, right? Is where it's at.
Let's see.
I think it's one of my favorite games of the slate, and it just comes. Oh, nice. This comes down
to a point,
like a SMU +1.
Yeah.
This comes down to top end talent because I like Tanner Mordecai more than Clayton Tune. I think that Ulysses Bentley, Reggie Robertson, Grant Calcaterra. I just think that in a game where we're expecting it to be very competitive between 2 of the best non-Cincinnati teams in the conference, I would like in crunch time to be aligned with the better quarterback. So give me the Mustangs, pony up.
Let's fight it out.
Yes.
Come on. I think we're sleeping on Houston a little bit. I talked to Sonny Dykes yesterday. Love him. I've been all over SMU, Tanner Mordecai all season long. Quietly, Houston has just been rattling off win after win after win. Dana Holgerson's plan, whatever it was when De'Ara King left to Miami and he started redshirting all these guys and said, you know what, we're going to play for the long term. Last year was a lost year. Then they had so many issues with COVID, having to reschedule games. It's all starting to pay off now. 6 wins in a row. They've got the ball rolling. SMU has not been as impressive as of late. Give me the Cougs. I'll take Houston as the
minus half a point.
Minus half. So
in case there's a tie. In case there's a draw.
So what's our record? I'm 2-5 against you on the year in lock fight. So we're about to be 4-5 after this week. All right, good. Just checking.
Wow.
I have another. I have a couple others. I think I'm a little behind. Oklahoma. Let me lay the 18.5 against Texas Tech. I think this is the week where I hopefully that was enough of a wake-up call. My buddy Dusty's on the call of the game, and I know Oklahoma's a little bit irritated. Defense side of the ball, hopefully coming back home, quick start. I would expect them to be in control here. I don't know where Texas Tech is mentally, although every time I try to figure out a team mentally, they do the exact opposite. Like they put up that great fight when you think they're going to throw in the towel. So give me the Sooners laying 18.5. And then the other one from the SEC, Mississippi State playing in Starkville against Kentucky Wildcats. Give me Mike Leach's squad here. They're actually better against the run. I think they'll have some success against Christopher Rodriguez. And I think their offense, it's been proven everywhere else they've been able to play. They've been able to put up points. Are you going to trust Will Levis to start throwing the ball a little bit more? I'm not in position to do that yet. So give me Mississippi State getting 1.5 as a home dog.
You want to keep rolling?
Yeah, why not? I'll keep going here. Hold on. You guys talk first. Does anybody else have any other picks?
Yeah. I've got.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I really missed our CBS Sports Network primetime game. Oh, yes. I really missed it. I really missed being able to tuck myself in bed on the mothership, watching that Mountain West football. So happy it's back. And I'm so happy to see where cameraman Danny has positioned the focus, because he is apparently zooming in on a family portrait. He is, as we've got Amanda Guerra, the GOAT, on the call, Dave Ryan and Aaron Murray as well. I will be behind Jake Haener and the Fresno State Bulldogs on the road against the undefeated San Diego State Aztecs. I think this is going to be an awesome game. And I do think that the best player on the field might be a punter. But I think when it comes winning time at the end of a low-scoring game, I've seen what Fresno State can do in crunch time. So give me the Bulldogs. And Danny, should I hit the violent button again?
No. What's our record in lock agreement?
You guys.
Do you have it? So you have it handy? Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's strong. Hopefully it's strong. Yeah. Well, we're going to go over 500 on this one because I'm on the same page for you. I had the helmet. I don't have a Fresno State helmet. If I had it, I would get it and put it up there. But I'll go ahead and I'm with you on the Fresno State squad here. If you look at the teams that San Diego State has gone against, like, tell me the best quarterback they've gone against and had it. Like, they have not been tested like this through the air. Their defense has been awesome, but I don't think they're ready for this challenge. I'm going to go ahead for that reason. I'm going to throw the over in this one at all as well, with a total of 44.5.
44.5, yeah.
I'll take the over on this one as well. I think Fresno State puts up some points in this one as well.
Let the children sing for Fresno State. DK 2-for-1 special. He is also tacking on the over. Amanda, I'm sure you'll be listening to this on the trip out. So shouts to you, and we look forward to tuning in.
Is Tom on this too?
No.
Oh, because I thought we were going to have
Lock Infinity.
Our first Lock Infinity, because that was actually the point that I was going to make too. But like I guess I could take Fresno on the money line, so I'll go ahead and wait and do that.
Okay,
getting that sweet +1.
Why not?
All right, I think I'm tapped out.
I have one more.
All right, let's hear it.
It hurts. It hurts to go against them after being so high on them the last couple of weeks. But sorry, Utah. I'm taking UCLA +6.5.
I've sworn off the Pac-12, I think, at least for a minute. Pac-12's in timeout.
It's another one of those situations where it's like, yeah, it's hard to predict. And I still like Utah. I still think that they are definitely the most complete team and the most consistent team in the South right now. But I just don't know that anybody in that division outside of Arizona or Colorado deserves to be favored by a touchdown or about against anybody else in that division. So that's kind of the principal play here.
All right. Anybody else before we recap and then turn our attention to the sprinkles?
I think Tom's play is right on that, by the way. Utah's run defense this year is not what it typically is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They got one really good linebacker in Devin Lloyd, but I haven't done the analysis, but that makes sense. All right, let's pull it up to recap. Tom, loaded card. I love to see it. He's got Michigan State plus 4.5, the over 36.5 in Iowa, Wisconsin. Indiana plus 5.5, Virginia Tech plus 4.5, the over 54.5 in Oklahoma State, Kansas. Purdue, Nebraska under 52.5. Kansas State, TCU under 58.5. Minnesota Northwestern under 43.5. Illinois Rutgers under 42. Baylor, Texas under 61.5. Boise, Colorado State under 51.5, and UCLA plus 6.5. Chip is on the under 51 in Michigan State, the under 36.5 in Iowa, Wisconsin. Ohio State, team total over 37.5. Notre Dame minus 3.5. Also the over 62 in Notre Dame, North Carolina. SMU plus 1. Kansas plus 30.5. The under 43.5 in Minnesota Northwestern. The under 42 in Illinois Rutgers. And Fresno State plus 1. Danny, Wisconsin minus 3.5, Florida plus 14.5, the under 47.5 in Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina plus 3.5, Auburn minus 2.5, Houston minus 0.5 point, Oklahoma minus 18.5, Mississippi State plus 1.5, the over 44.5 in San Diego State, Fresno, and Fresno State plus 1. Bud, under 58.5 in UNLV, Nevada, Florida plus 14.5, Bowling Green plus 14, Virginia plus 3, Louisville plus 7, and the over 55.5 in Georgia State, Georgia Southern.
Bud's just nursing that lead like, was like a Wisconsin team. Just going to sit on that ball and bleed the clock.
What is the record for picks in a week? It's gotta be.
Isn't it
I
you?
don't know.
Oh, yeah. It's probably when I
definitely
had
is
15.
Yeah.
All right, let's turn our attention to those money line sprinkles. Catch you up on the overall standings. Tom in first place, up 7.64 units, 12 and 12. Bud at up 5.78 units at 10 and 12. Chip coming in at just over breaking even, 0.76 units up at 9 and 12. Danny down 3.2 units, 8 and 17. Let's see, we had Tom threw out a whole bunch of them. Oregon cashed. Losses were Temple, Nevada, Clemson, and Northwestern. Last week, Chip cashed Oregon State, lost on USC. Danny lost on Army, Purdue, Washington State, Oklahoma State, and LSU. We got for Bud, 1 on Northern Illinois, loss on Charlotte, Ohio, and Temple. So let's start with our season leader, Tom. What are your sprinkles?
I've got 4 this week. They're all somewhat self-explanatory. First of all, I'll start with the easier ones, I think. I'm taking Iowa plus 147 against Wisconsin. Just, again, that game's going to be like a 2-point game, low scoring. Anybody can win. I'm with Bud, and as far as his feelings of BYU and Virginia, I am taking the Hoos plus 120. I will also be taking Texas plus 135 as an underdog against Baylor. And finally, this one just kind of going with the whole way the ACC works. Taking Miami plus 310.
Lock it up.
On the Canes?
Yeah. That's the one. It is the ACC. It's the way college football has gone. The ACC would be nothing more ACC than Miami to play the role of spoiler, knocking off NC State from the national conversation, then Pitt from the national conversation. This game scares me. Like, I hope I'm wrong on this one. I want Kenny Pickett to play well. I want them to be at the top of the standings, have your best foot forward. But Miami showed me something against NC State. They've been still fighting. Tyler Van Dyke's been pretty good, pretty solid for them. So it wouldn't be shocking at all. Should I just go ahead and unload mine or do you want to let Bud get his out of the way? Bud, you got to go or what?
No. I actually just got a shout out in the meeting. If you guys can see, I have my AirPod and I've got the meeting on my phone. So it's a little weird here dual audio going on, but I do my work before the show. So
if you can look at 9 screens at once, then you can 100% be in 2 meetings at once. Go ahead and
unload mine. I'll take Virginia to win outright. What can I get on that one? Plus 120? Is that
Plus 120, yeah.
I'll take Virginia outright over BYU. Go ahead and give me my Noles. I'm going to go ahead and back them just for the long shot. If you're going to take it, have some fun. Plus 320 on the road. I don't love it, but I got a lot of catching up to do. And then give me Northwestern to win at home over Minnesota plus 265.
See if I can get you better than that. I can get
Yeah,
you. No, 265 is the best I can find.
Bam. There you go. I'm swinging for the fence. It might be a little early to swing for the fences, but why not?
All right, Bud.
All right, let's go ahead and do another Mountain West game. Why is Utah State favored by this? I'm going to go ahead and take Hawaii plus 180. I already bet Hawaii plus the 7 earlier in the week. That's gone now. I think Hawaii can win this game outright.
Sure.
So I'm going to go ahead and play with the variance here, I think, and go ahead and take Hawaii plus the 180. Then I'm going to go ahead and go to where's Old Dominion in the state of Virginia? I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Norfolk, I believe.
Right. So very informed in this pick clearly because I've just determined where this university is located. And sorry if I'm talking louder than normal. I'm going to sit back with the mic because I do. Like I said, I have the other AirPod in with the meeting going. Old Dominion plus 170 for me. I think Old Dominion can win this game. They have impressed me a little bit in fighting hard in some efforts. They haven't got a whole lot of wins so far. It's kind of a weird trip for La Tech. Could be some cold, nasty weather. ODU has a nice running quarterback that I think could give some problems here. So I think they're pretty live to win this game. As I said, I'm going to take Fresno plus the 100 on the money line there. Does that count as a sprinkle? They're not technically a dog.
That's fine. Yeah,
Like
that's fine. That's a
right.
dog. It's plus
then
money.
The other one I want to take here, I know they have not been playing very well, but I cannot get there with this number. This is just purely a math play. I mean, I guess everything's a math play, right? Technically, when it comes down to it. Give me Wyoming plus 140 on the road at San Jose State. I think they can pull the win here.
You're right. They haven't been playing well, but they've got it in them. I will, as somebody, we missed a
scored 3 points in the last 2 weeks, so that's not really great.
Windy under in Laramie last week. You had a chance to hit the button.
Drop the ball.
I know. We totally missed out on it. All right. We'll start with Michigan State. Rivalry game. Mel Tucker's done it once. Maybe he can do it again. We will move on to Texas. Meaning kind of like Texas and Baylor are playing and you can get plus value on the Longhorns. Sure.
Yep. That's kind of that was my thinking behind it.
Okay. Yeah, I will take that plus value. I'm also going to be on Virginia. And wouldn't it be hilarious if it's like 6 p.m. on the East Coast and you look up and Anthony Richardson is driving with an opportunity to take the lead against the best defense that we've ever seen? Ooh. My wouldn't it be hilarious sprinkle maybe of the year. And this is a team that I think might have launched the wouldn't it be hilarious because it was picking Texas A&M as the money line sprinkle over Florida last year with Florida coming off the huge win. I think it's time that the Gators get the other side of the joke, that they get the last laugh this time. I will go Florida at the best price I can get to sprinkle.
Best I can get you is $4.90.
Let's go.
Wow, I can't believe we've come full circle on the wouldn't it be hilarious principle.
It would be hilarious. We do all this conversation about how the SEC is going to get 2 teams in and Georgia's an absolute lock. Go and catch an L. All of a sudden, math gets a little bit easier for a Cincinnati, an Oregon, like some of these other teams. We'll see. It'll be a lot of fun. To recap our sprinkles, Tom is on Iowa, Miami, Virginia, and Texas. Chip is on Michigan State, Texas, Virginia, and Florida. Danny's got Miami, Virginia, Florida State, Northwestern, and Bud is on Hawaii, Old Dominion, which is in Norfolk, Virginia, Fresno State, and Wyoming. A full slate. Best.
Chip,
oh yeah.
Can I add one more? I forgot.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Coming off a bye week. Quarterback practicing. This team that they're playing just came off a fat win against UConn. Right. I think Southern Miss's defense is kind of decent, right? Not that bad. They had the bye week to regroup. I think Southern Miss defense is the best unit on the field here, and I'm catching plus 450 as they travel to Middle Tennessee State. Go ahead, give me the Golden Eagles. Let's Southern Miss that thing up. Money line sprinkle.
Have been burned too many times by Southern Miss this season.
I think Conference USA, non-UTSA, non-UTEP division might be a place to blindly fire some money line sprinkles, just because the difference between those teams and like the middle to bottom pack might be within the margin of error of a average Saturday in college football.
Yeah.
Don't hate that.
Now I know what I'm going to be spending the next hour researching.
Conference USA.
Yeah, moneyline sprinkles and CUSA. Non-UTSA UTEP division, you say?
Yeah.
I'll check it.
Okay.
Guys, this is the sound of God here. Tom, I put in the private group that Jack Tuttle and Michael Penix might both be out this weekend, so I don't know if you still like that Indiana pick.
Oh, it's my lock of the week in the 6-pack. Oh, God. And it's been published. Oh, no. I got to stick with it now. It's out there. I can't take it back. Thank you, Lord. Lord Coca.
Yeah, that is the voice of those of you who hang out with us in the live chat, and we love it. But that is our glorious producer right there. You can follow him on Twitter at Danny Cannell. You can follow him at Tom Fernelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. We will be back on Saturday night at the conclusion of Ohio State Penn State to recap with instant reactions to everything from week 9. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See y'all.